I broke up with my girlfriend of 4 years, my childhood sweetheart. It was all because after the game ended, she gave the last bottle of water and the towel to someone else, and I lost my temper over it. She scolded me. "Why are you so petty? It's just a bottle of water. You won't die of thirst if you drink it a little later." I suggested breaking up. She said hatefully, "You're so dramatic. You'll never find a girl as good as me again. Don't regret this later." As she wished, I didn't regret it. The break was clean. Later, she lowered herself, humbly begging for my forgiveness. But I never wanted to go back. She brought up the past, questioning me with tears in her eyes. "Wasn't it just because of a bottle of water? Do you have to be so heartless to me?" Yes, breaking up over a bottle of water. It seemed like I was being dramatic, but she didn't know that was just the last snowflake that caused the avalanche. As the final whistle of the game blew, countless cheers and shouts filled my ears. I saw Xiao Luo running towards me with water and a towel. A smile formed on my lips as I started to reach out for them. But she, as if she hadn't seen me, ran past me and handed the mineral water to John. In that moment, my smile froze and my heart turned cold. Today was a friendly basketball game our class held before graduation. The team I was on had won. Zhang Shuren from the losing team couldn't keep up physically. After the game, he was bent over, panting heavily. Xiaolu took the last remaining bottle of mineral water and the towel and gave them to Zhang Shuren. She even helped him wipe away his sweat while he was drinking. Zhang Xian extended a fist and bumped it with Xiao Luo's. He said with a wide grin, "Good brother, you're truly loyal." Of course. The two of them were close together, talking and laughing as if I, standing not far away, didn't exist. To an outsider, the two of them looked more like a couple, but no one was ever surprised because this was already a common sight between them. I had spoken to her about it several times, but she always said I was overthinking it, telling me to relax, that they were just good buddies, like brothers and sisters. We fought about it many times, but in the end, it was always me who compromised and gave in, begging her to make up. Perhaps in a relationship, whoever loves more is the passive one. While I was lost in thought, Zhang Xian walked towards me and asked with a smile, "Brother G, my bad. I didn't expect them to be careless and not prepare enough water. How about you drink mine?" He dangled the half-empty water bottle in front of me, a nonchalant smile on his face. I was already in a bad mood, and seeing his face made it worse. "No thanks," I shook my head. He'd already drunk half of it, and now he was asking if I wanted it. Was he trying to disgust me? "Don't be polite, just take it and drink." Saying that, Zhang Xin tossed the bottle directly at me. I didn't catch it. I sidestepped to avoid it. I said, "I'm not drinking it." My eyes shot a warning at Zhang Xin as I replied in an indifferent tone. "What's that supposed to mean? Isn't it normal for guys to share a drink? If you don't want it, you could have just given it back to me. Why do you have to be like this?" Zhang Xin spoke with self-righteousness. Yet, he looked aggrievedly at Xiaolu. It was as if my refusal to drink his water had become my fault. Don't mind him. It's just because I didn't give him the water just now. He's always throwing random tantrums. She looked at me and frowned, still showing no intention of standing by my side. I felt wronged and wanted to say something, but I opened my mouth and then closed it again. She knew she had given the last bottle of water to Zhang Xin first. She also knew she had run right past me to find him. She knew everything. She knew doing this would make me unhappy. Yet, she did it with a clear conscience. She seemed to not care about my feelings in the slightest. I didn't respond, just walked to the side, feeling a bit desolate. Back in the rest area, I sat down and waited for the new water I had bought. Xiao Luo, however, paid no attention to my sadness and continued to joke around with Zhang Xin. She comforted him by saying it didn't matter that he lost the game and that he should just eat more meat at dinner later. She wasn't wrong. During the dinner, Xiaolu was very enthusiastic and took good care of everyone, especially Zhang Xin, who was cared for meticulously by Xiaolu. With every new dish, the first bite was always picked up by Xiaolu for Zhang Xin. She stopped just short of feeding it to him. They looked just like a couple in the throes of love. The atmosphere was cheerful and harmonious, with everyone eating and drinking happily. Only I was like a bystander, an outsider peeking at their happiness. After the dinner, everyone suggested going to KTV to continue the fun, but I was not in the mood at all. So I apologized to them, saying I wasn't feeling well, and told them to have a good time. My friends saw that I didn't look well and perhaps knew that I didn't really want to go. So they said if Brother Gene isn't feeling well, he should go back and rest. Ciao, Luo. Take good care, Brother Gene. We can get together again next time. Xiaolu was a little disappointed, but she still accompanied me home. Jiang Shan also came out with Xiaolu, and the two of them got into the car, talking and laughing. Xiaolu drove, and Jiang Shan sat in the passenger seat. Because it was on the way home, Jiang Shan always hitched a ride, and Xiaolu never refused. I sat in the back seat and closed my eyes to rest. Jiang Shan suddenly said, "Oh, I almost forgot that Brother Gene seems to be feeling unwell. Should I give you the passenger seat? Give it to me." I sneered and said nothing. Seeing that I ignored him, Jiang Shan turned his head and said to Xiaolu, "Your boyfriend's temper is really a bit strange. It must be really hard on you usually." Xiaolu just smiled and said lightly, "Don't mind him. He'll be fine in a while." Huh, yeah. Every time I got angry, she never needed to coax me. I would coax myself back to a good mood. Speaking of which, sometimes I felt like I was Xiaolu's sick of it. In our hearts, we always believed that the passenger seat was reserved for the other half. But since Jiang Shan appeared, Xiaolu had made an exception for him. Whenever he was there, the passenger seat would not be mine, except for when I was driving. Then the passenger seat would be empty because both of them would sit in the back. I often threw a tantrum at Xiaolu because of this. Later, she directly told me off impatiently. "Can you stop making a scene? One is my boyfriend, and the other is a good friend. Do you have to make things difficult for me?" I forgot how many times we had fought because of Jiang Shan. I only know that later on, I was silent most of the time. A compromise born from the knowledge that no amount of fighting would do any good. Actually, I had thought about it many times. Would there be a day when Jiang Shan would also replace my identity as a boyfriend? Perhaps it was because of my low spirits, or perhaps I was too tired. I soon fell asleep. When I woke up, the car was already parked in a downstairs parking lot. "Why didn't you wake me up?" I looked at Xiaolu in front of me with sleepy eyes. She was looking out the window quietly and only slowly turned her head back when she heard me call her. "Eugene, what's gotten into you today?" She frowned, her tone a little complaining. What did I do? I was in no mood to argue with her, and even my voice was tinged with weariness. "You asked what you did? You had a long face after the game. And when Jiang Shan kindly offered you water, you made him lose face. You didn't say a word during the whole meal. Your face was as black as charcoal. And when others suggested moving on to the next activity, you spoiled everyone's fun. We're graduating soon. Don't you know that every time we meet is one less time?" She enumerated my faults one by one. Her cheeks puffed out with anger. After listening, I only felt a chill in my heart. "Say whatever you want." I had dropped this sentence, opened the door, and got out of the car. She quickly caught up to me. Angrily, she pulled my arm, stopping me in my tracks. "Are you too lazy to even explain yourself now?" She looked up, glaring at me furiously as she questioned me. Seeing her being so unreasonable, I got angry too. "Xiaoluo, we've known each other for so many years. Do you think I'm deliberately looking for trouble? Did you forget that I'm your boyfriend?" After the game, you rushed to Jiang Xian with a bottle of water first. During dinner, you kept putting food on his plate, laughing and talking, and now you're asking me why I'm giving you the cold shoulder. It's because of this stupid stuff again. Xiaoluo rolled her eyes and said impatiently, "How many times do I have to tell you? He and I are just good buddies, good friends. It's normal interaction between friends. Why do you always have to fight with me about it?" I sneered. "You think this is normal? What else could it be?" Xiaoluo pressed on relentlessly. "We didn't kiss or hug. How exactly have I wronged you?" I looked into her eyes, and it was as if they had changed. Before, when she looked at me, her gaze was always gentle with a hint of admiration. But now, it was full of blame and resentment. Hadn't she said that she would always put me first, that I would be in the most important position, that no one could ever replace me? But now, the first person in her heart had become Gang Shuren. As long as Jiang Xian was around, he would be her priority. In the end, everything had changed. If you don't think so, then so be it. I threw out that sentence and went upstairs by myself without waiting for her. During our sophomore year, she said the dormitory was too noisy and affected her studies. Coincidentally, we saw a two-bedroom apartment that was nice in every aspect, so we rented it. We lived there for 3 years. After that, every time we fought, I was glad we had rented a two-bedroom place. Perhaps I caught a cold today, as I was feeling a bit drowsy. I made a cup of cold medicine, drank it, and quickly fell asleep. When I woke up the next day, I found that Xiao Luo was not at home. I didn't see her come back even by evening. During that time, she didn't send me any messages, and we fell into another Cold War. Ever since I realized that no amount of fighting was useful, it seemed like Xiaolu and I had fallen into countless Cold Wars. It's just that I often can't help but remember how close we once were. Xiaolu and I were childhood sweethearts. Our families were neighbors when we were young, but my parents were often away for work back then. I barely saw them a few times a year, only receiving their monthly remittances. So, I paid my own tuition, went to school by myself, and did my own laundry and cooking. Sometimes I would forget to bring an umbrella, and on rainy days, I would always walk home in the rain. But I was often afraid that people would ask why I was always alone and why no one ever brought me an umbrella. I was worried they would pity me and also worried that others would laugh at me. But one day, as I was about to run home in the rain, there was suddenly someone beside me, and the rain no longer fell on me. "Let's go home together from now on," Xiaolu said in her school uniform and a ponytail, blinking her big eyes at me. She looked incredibly cute. After that, I never had to get wet in the rain again, and I no longer felt lonely. Xiaolu accompanied me to and from school every day, ate with me, and shared the same umbrella with me on rainy days. She brought me breakfast that she made herself, put her coat on me when it was cold, and cheered me up when I was sad. Because of Xiaolu, my childhood was not so bleak. In middle school, we had all grown up a lot. A girl confessed her feelings to me, and I turned her down. But the next day, I was cornered in an alley outside the school by some older students. A few tattooed troublemakers from outside the school were among them. One of the students I didn't recognize shoved me against the wall and demanded, "Hey kid, you think you can mess with my girl? You looking for a beating?" I had no idea what he was talking about. At that moment, I was so scared my legs felt like jelly. I didn't do anything. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said. The guy slammed a wooden stick against the wall and yelled, "The girl who confessed to you yesterday. I've had my eyes on her for a long time. If I don't teach you a lesson today, everyone will think they can mess with my girl." As soon as he finished speaking, he swung a stick at me. I closed my eyes, but the blow never landed. Instead, I felt two small hands tightly clutching the front of my clothes. When I opened my eyes, Xiao Luo was standing in front of me. She had taken a hit on her back for me. The pain made her eyes instantly well up with tears that shimmered but didn't fall. At that moment, I silently vowed to myself that I would always treat her well for the rest of my life. After a few seconds of stunned silence, the bullies started taunting us. "Damn, are you even a man letting a girl take a hit for you? This girl must be blind. How could she ever like a loser like you?" Rage completely overshadowed my fear. I pulled Xiaolu behind me, and before the guy could react, threw a powerful punch that sent him sprawling to the ground. Then, stepping on his hand, I punched him again and again hard in the face. After a moment of shock, the others started to move in, ready to jump me. Xiaolu raised her phone and shouted, "Don't move. I've already called the police. The nearest police station is only 500 m away. They'll be here any minute." Hearing this, they all froze. After exchanging glances, they hurled a few final threats at me, then dragged away the guy whose face was covered in blood. Once they were gone, Xiaolu immediately pulled me away. I found out later that she hadn't actually called the police at all. She just bluffed to scare them off. I patted her head and said, "Next time something dangerous like this happens, make sure you protect yourself first." After a pause, I added, "If there's trouble, call the police first." Xiaolu nodded obediently and replied sweetly, "Okay." Then with a mischievous glint in her eyes, she added playfully, "But if it's a real emergency, I'll still jump in to save you first." Back then, Xiaolu was not only like a little lion in my eyes, but also a ray of light in my life. In high school, we still attended the same school, and luckily, we were even assigned to the same class. By then, She had blossomed like a flower just beginning to bloom. Her grades were among the best. She was both a top student and the school belle, radiating brilliance. Every day, her desk was filled with love letters, but by evening they'd all end up in the trash. She told me very seriously that during this critical stage, we absolutely should not start a relationship. I cautiously asked, "What if it's with you?" A spark of joy flashed in her eyes, as if she'd just learned something that made her incredibly happy. She said, "Let's work hard together, get into the same university, and then we could be together." Okay. And so, I had a goal throughout the more than 1,000 days and nights of high school. I pushed myself relentlessly to keep up with her. Hard work paid off. I managed to get into the same university as she did. On registration day, we exchanged a smile, and finally, as we'd wished, we became a couple. After starting university, we had much more free time. Every weekend, we would go out to hunt for good food and check in at fun places to take photos. We explored every corner of the city together. We even had our own secret spot, a place that held our special kind of romance. We were so happy back then. I thought we would spend our whole lives like that, blissfully content. But as it turns out, good times never last long. In our second year, a student transferred into our program. His name was Zhang Shuren. It happened around the time of a class gathering, and they became friends. Zhang Shuren was very handsome and spoke in a measured, gentle way. At the time, Xiaolu always said he was very polite. Later, she started mentioning him more and more often. I don't know exactly when it started, but the two of them grew closer and closer. So close it began to make me jealous. At first, Xiaolu and I still went out together, just the two of us on our dates. But then, Zhang Shuren started finding all sorts of reasons to join us. When we wanted to try a new restaurant, Zhang Shuren would ask Xiaolu for the location. He'd say he happened to want to go there too, so why not just eat together? Xiaolu initially wanted to refuse, but he'd wear her down with his persistence until she eventually agreed. So, a meal that should have been for two ended up with an extra person. Another time when we went to see a movie, Zhang Shuren said he happened to want to watch that film too. He asked where we were going and if we could take him along. Xiaolu didn't refuse this third wheel either. So, the three of us watched the movie together. After we left the cinema, the two of them walked ahead, engrossed in heated discussion about the plot, completely forgetting about me trailing behind. It felt like I was the third wheel. There were too many incidents like this to count. It wasn't like I didn't bring it up with her. I told her that when it was supposed to be our date, having an unrelated person along made me uncomfortable, but she got upset. She told me Zhang Shuren was just a good buddy and that I shouldn't be so jealous about everything. But when it comes down to it, he's still a guy. Shouldn't you maintain some proper distance? I said, my eyes tearing. I told you he's just a good friend. Like a sister, Xiaolu said, sounding a bit impatient. Can you not be so petty? Have we ever done anything to betray you? Me, petty? I looked at this girl I'd grown up with and felt like I was seeing a stranger for the first time. Xiaolu, you understand perfectly well. Why are you pretending not to? Xiaolu took a deep breath and said through gritted teeth, when am I pretending? You think you know everything. Is that it? You're a grown man. Must you be so narrow-minded? Hearing that felt like a sharp sting in my heart. The tears I've been holding back instantly started falling. Xiaolu, you think I'm narrow-minded? You think I'm controlling too much? Is that it? I didn't realize at the time, but my voice was trembling as I spoke. Perhaps it was the first time she had seen me cry, because a look of heartache flashed in Xiaolu's eyes. Her tone softened. Xiaoyin, let's not talk about this anymore. It's my fault. Don't be sad, okay? But hearing her say that only made me feel more wronged. The tears fell even harder. Xiaolu looked even more heartbroken. She held me tightly and gently wiped my tears away with her hand. She said many tender things to me, telling me she liked me the most. Because I love hiking, that day, she pushed herself to climb to the mountain's summit with me. Looking out at the magnificent landscape, my mood lifted considerably. That night, we held each other close. She told me she would keep her distance from Zhang Shin from now on. Feeling her scent and her soft breathing in my arms, I felt an immense sense of peace and happiness. Her words I always kept in my heart. Unfortunately, she didn't keep her promise. Later, her relationship with Zhang Shuren became more and more intimate, and a number of times Xiao Luo and I argued, because of Jiang Shuren also increased. I loved her very much, so I couldn't bear to leave. I thought perhaps after graduation they wouldn't be in touch so much anymore. But I never expected that yesterday's events would strike me like a clap of thunder, waking me up completely. I should have known long ago that the relationship between Xiaolu and Jiang Shuren had already surpassed the boundaries of friendship. It was just that I had been deceiving myself all along. I waited until late at night, but still Xiaolu did not return. The messages in our chat window also remained as they were from yesterday. My social media feed showed that Jiang Xian had posted an update. Curious, I clicked on it to have a look. My heart trembled instantly. 9 photos, every single one a selfie of Xiaolu and Jiang Shuren. In the center photo, Xiaolu's eyes were closed as she leaned on Jiang Shuren's shoulder. The location was tagged in Sonia Hainan. The caption read, "The seaside is so romantic with the sea breeze blowing, stepping on footprints." I clicked on the photos, examining each one carefully for a long time. So, Xiao Luo hadn't come home because she had gone on a trip with Jiang Xian, but she hadn't told me in advance, not even mentioning a single word about it. My already disappointed heart now felt as if it had been plunged into an ice cellar, aching from the cold. I had thought she would be too sad to sleep, just like me. Only now did I realize that even after arguing with me, she could still sleep soundly. She even had someone to lean on. Originally, I was still thinking of having a good face-to-face talk with Xiaolu about our relationship, but now it seems there's no need to say anything more. We've known each other since elementary school, and now we've graduated from university. I thought we could truly be happy forever, growing old together like in novels. I had imagined countless times the scene of walking into the wedding hall with her, personally putting the ring on her finger. But reality told me I was too naive. It turns out that a seemingly indestructible relationship can shatter in just an instant. Perhaps from the moment Jiang Xian entered our lives, the curtain was destined to begin falling on my relationship with Xiaolu. Is our love ending just like this? Actually, I'm not resigned to it at all. I clearly did nothing wrong. My phone fell onto the bed, and my face was already streaked with tears. I remembered those happy times with Xiaolu in the past. I remember the girl who, like a little lioness, ran over to block a stick for me without a second thought. I remember the girl who, on a rainy day, stubbornly held the umbrella for me, even raising her arm high to do so. I remembered the little girl who, when I had a high fever in the middle of the night, frantically ran several kilometers to buy me medicine. What a pity. The girl who was like a beam of light shining into my obscure life has, after all, left me. I used to think that as long as I worked a little harder, I could stay by her side forever. Only now do I realize that many things can be obtained through hard work. But love cannot. Love is like sand and also like a gust of wind. I am not willing to let slip away, yet I am powerless to stop it. Jiang Xian posted such a social media update while Xiaolu and I were still in a relationship. And Xiaolu, who could freely lean on his shoulder and sleep soundly, did not stop his actions. Perhaps in Xiao Luo's heart, I had long since become unimportant. It's just that she was still deceiving herself. But I don't want to continue this anymore. A sleepless night. I packed up all my things bit by bit, erasing the memories here. Once this was our warm haven. Now that I have decided to separate, there is no meaning for me to stay. I moved my luggage back to the school dormitory because I decided to continue studying for the graduate entrance exam. It used to be Xiao Luo who wanted to enter society early and build her own career. She felt that if I stayed in school, we would have very few opportunities to meet. So I compromised and interviewed with several companies that were very close to her. Now that I've come to my senses, I can also move forward according to my own ideas. I found a company that had hired me and explained the situation to the HR manager. She expressed her understanding and wished me well. Back at school, I began to devote myself to my studies. I went to the library early every morning and returned to the dormitory at night to continue studying. I thought that such days would be difficult to endure, but unexpectedly, it was even easier than I had imagined. During these busy and fulfilling days, I hardly ever thought of Xiao Luo. She seemed to be gradually fading out of my world. Occasionally, when I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night, I would think about the past, but my heart no longer felt any ripples. Perhaps in those repeated compromises and concessions, my heart gradually grew cold. Half a month later, Zile Luo returned home from her trip only to find that I had already moved out. She hadn't sent me a single message since our fight that day. When she called me, I was still studying in the library. After I hung up, I simply turned off my phone. By the time I left the library, my phone showed dozens of missed calls. Just then, she called again. I answered. The other end seemed to be stunned for a moment, not expecting me to answer so quickly this time. Then came her angry questioning. Eugene, what kind of nonsense are you up to again? Not answering your phone, not replying to messages. Come home right now and explain yourself clearly to me. I listened calmly and then said calmly, No, Xiaolu, let's break up. There was silence on the other end of the phone again, and it took a while for her voice to come through. Are you done messing around? Her emotions were a little out of control. On what ground are you breaking up with me? What reason do you have to break up with me? Hearing her response, I sighed softly. I said in a deep voice, Reason? Have you seen how much I have given up to be with you? I can give up my dreams, my bottom line, my self-esteem, everything for you. But what do you take me for? Zile Luo sneered upon hearing this and said, Is this why you want to break up with me? She paused. You wanted to break up with me for a long time, haven't you? Using a reason like this, have you already found someone else? Her words undoubtedly stung the heart that had once loved her so much. I laughed sarcastically. Unlike you, I don't have a male best friend to be ambiguous with, hiding it from my boyfriend, going on a trip with an ambiguous partner, and posting intimate photos on social media. Xiaolu scoffed and said, It's because of this again. How many times are you going to make a fuss about it? Yes, I went on a trip with Jiang Xin. So what? Xiaolu said righteously. That day was Jiang Xin's birthday. Can I celebrate his birthday with him? Are you too controlling? Can I even celebrate a friend's birthday? At this point, I had no desire to continue arguing. Don't say any more, Xiaolu. My voice turned cold. Let's break up. It's for the best for both of us. Yin. Xiaolu's voice suddenly rose. You better think this through. Don't regret it later. Yes, I've thought it through, I replied calmly. Fine, you said it, Xiaolu said through gritted teeth and hung up the phone. Finally, the words were spoken. It felt as though a great weight had been lifted from my heart. Truthfully, I had thought about leaving her before, but with so many years of feelings between us, a part of me still held on to hope. Hope that she would change. Hope that she would be as she was at the beginning. Hope that she would love me with all her heart. To say goodbye to someone who had been with me through my entire childhood and adolescence was a pain akin to having my bones stripped and my tendons pulled. But no matter how unwilling I was, I had to force myself to leave. She and Jiang Xin blatantly flirted on the edge of ambiguity. While I was branded as selfish and petty, I couldn't accept it. The kind of love I want is one of wholehearted devotion, a preference where their eyes see only you. If love means constant compromise, losing oneself, and being unloved, then I don't want it anymore. After officially breaking up with Zile Luo, my life didn't change much. I still had a full and busy school life, sleeping early, waking early, and eating on time. It seemed I never thought of Zile Luo again, as if she had completely vanished from my life. We each returned to our own lives, and perhaps our paths would never cross again. Recently, one of the school cafeterias was under renovation, leaving only one available for use. Consequently, all the students crowded into that single cafeteria. One afternoon, I had gotten my food but couldn't find a single empty seat. I usually like to sit alone in a corner by the window, and to my surprise, that spot was empty. Next to it, a girl had her meal in front of her, her head bowed as she read a book. I hesitated for a moment, then walked over and asked softly, Hello, is this seat taken? She looked up, her large eyes blinking as she looked at me. No, go ahead and sit. She smiled and stood up to let me in. I thanked her and took the seat. I thought to myself how lucky I was. I saw the book on her table and couldn't help but say, I just finished that book not long ago. It's really good. I didn't expect you to be reading it, too. I like all the books by this author. The girl replied with a gentle smile, tucking her hair behind her ear. I said in surprise, "What a coincidence." "Me too." "I know." "You know." I looked at her curiously, suddenly feeling as though I had seen her somewhere before. "Yes, and I also know your name is Yind, the top student in the Media Studies department." Her smile was radiant, giving off a warmth like a small sun. I asked, curious, "You know me?" She nodded and introduced herself. "My name is Lynn Schwer. I'm a year below you in the Media Studies department." I suddenly remembered I had seen her busy figure before when we were filming a promotional video for the school. She was proactive and observant, appearing wherever help was needed. From time to time, she would joke around to lighten the heavy atmosphere on set. My impression of her was that of a very lively and cute girl. "Thank you so much for today. Otherwise, I might have had to eat standing with my tray." I shrugged and laughed along with her. "It's no problem. I'm happy now. I have someone to eat with." After that, we really did eat together every day. She would always arrive at the cafeteria before me and save me a good seat. At first, she would always get my meal for me, too, even though I told her she didn't have to. So, I simply gave her my meal card to hold. Over time, I discovered that she seemed to know my little habits very well. For instance, how I take a sip of soup after every few bites of food, how I like spicy food and always add extra chili, and how every time I get tired of chewing, I turn my head to look at the scenery outside the window. How I would sometimes zone out and then rest my chin on one hand. She knew all of these little habits. I smiled and teased her. "Lin Shu, you haven't been investigating me, have you?" She let out a soft laugh and said, "Does one need to specifically investigate that?" I paused for a moment, then nodded. "That's right. These are just little habits. Anyone would notice after spending enough time together. Shally used to know me best, but now she no longer cared." One day, I happened to hear Xiaolu's name and realized that it had been half a year since I broke up with her. During this half year, besides studying every day, I ate with Lin Shu in the cafeteria. At first, I really thought that she got food and saved a seat for me every day because she had no one to eat with. It wasn't until the day she confessed to me that I realized for a cute girl like her, if she really wanted to find someone to eat with, it should have been the easiest thing in the world. She did all of this for me. I had met her when she was a freshman. At that time, she was dragging her luggage and came to me to ask for the location of the academic building. Just as I was about to answer, she suddenly lost her footing and fell to the side. Startled, I hurried over to help her. Fortunately, the infirmary was not far from us, so I helped her there. The doctor said she had hypoglycemia and slowly recovered after drinking a bottle of glucose. While she was resting in the infirmary, I told her the location for new student registration and left. At that time, my heart only had room for Xiaolu. This was just a matter of helping out of kindness, so I didn't pay too much attention to it. Plus, so many years had passed, I couldn't remember what she looked like very clearly, so I didn't recognize her later on. Lynch has said to me, "Senior, did you know that I've never been able to forget you since then?" I started to pay attention to you appearing in places where you often appeared. Just being able to see you from a distance made me feel very happy. But at that time, I also heard that you and Senior Xiaolu had a very good relationship, so I didn't dare and shouldn't disturb you. I thought to myself, as long as I can see you happy, that's enough. Lin Shu looked at me with a serious face, a flash of heartache in her eyes. I just didn't expect that you two would break up. "Lin Shu," I called her name softly. She shook her head and smiled bitterly. "You two broke up, and I don't feel a trace of happiness in my heart. I feel sorry for you. I know you're very sad, and I also know that Senior Xiao Luo and Senior John Xian went on a trip. I really wanted to appear at that time to comfort you, but I was worried that you would think I was taking advantage of the situation." Listening to Lin Shu's sincere words, I thought my frozen heart began to thaw. "Lin Shu, thank you." Actually, before I could finish, Lin Shu took a step forward and stood in front of me, her cheeks slightly red. "Senior, I like you." Lin Shu's eyes were firm and her tone was resolute as she said, "Maybe these words are a bit late, but can you give me a chance?" Faced with Lin Shu's sincere and affectionate confession, my heart felt as if it had melted and began to beat rapidly. Actually, I didn't expect Lin Shu's confession to be so sudden on such an ordinary day. Should I say yes to her? Perhaps seeing that I hadn't spoken for a long time, she blinked and suddenly laughed. It's okay, senior. Rejection isn't that hard. I still hope you can be happy forever. I shook my head and smiled. No, you said I was going to refuse. Lin Shu was stunned for a moment and asked tentatively, so, you're saying yes? Yes. Lin Shu's originally dim eyes instantly lit up. She took my hand and jumped up and down in excitement. Her joy was palpable. Senior, am I dreaming? That's great. I will definitely love you with all my heart. Seeing Lin Shu as happy as a child, I felt a long-lost sense of ease and joy in my heart. Every day in love with Lin Shu felt like being soaked in happiness. One night, I came across Xiao Luo's Moments post. She was wearing a floral slip dress, holding her phone in one hand and making a peace sign with the other. Behind her, John Xian's hands were wrapped around her waist, a blissful smile on his face. The caption read, "Happiness doesn't necessarily have to come from you." A mutual friend commented below, "Finally made it official. Wishing you lasting happiness." Xiao Luo replied, "Yes, thank you." Seeing this, I felt no ripple in my heart. Unlike the turmoil I'd felt when I saw they had gone traveling together, Xiao Luo was still as willful and childish as ever, unaware of how ridiculous she seemed to others. I shook my head and put down my phone. Just then, Lin Shu leaned over, noticing something was off. "Are you unhappy?" she asked, blinking her eyes. "Not at all." I smiled and ruffled her hair, but she pressed on. "Is it because of Xiao Luo?" Seeing the somewhat dejected look on her face, my heart ached instantly. I turned and pulled her into my arms, saying softly, "Silly, you don't need to worry about her. The one I love is you." Lin Shu smiled happily and buried her face in my collarbone. Her voice was tender as she said, "Yes, can you take me home with you then?" I was slightly taken aback. "You said before that your family wanted you to bring a girlfriend home for the new year," she said coyly. "I want to go back with you. Can I?" I was silent for a moment, then nodded. "You can." She giggled and hugged me tightly. The spring festival arrived quickly. I took her back to my hometown. Along the way, she was constantly worried about me being tired and wanted to help carry some of the luggage. When I refused, she bought water to give me sips and wiped the sweat from my brow with a tissue. The moment we were seated, she immediately asked what I wanted to eat and said I could lean on her nap if I was tired or sleepy. Her focus was always on me, which made me feel deeply valued and needed. Xiao was never like that. She only cared about forging ahead, busy taking pictures with her phone to post on Moments. When we got home, my parents had already prepared a large table full of dishes. Xiaolu's family was also there. "Xiaolu, you're back." Xiaolu's mother greeted us as soon as she saw Lin and me. "Yes, we are." Lin also quickly greeted them. "Hello, uncle." "Hello, auntie. I'm Lin Shu." Xiaolu's father responded with a chuckle. "Hello." "Hello." Xiaolu's mother pulled me aside, her tone apologetic. "I'm very sorry about Xiaolu. It was indeed her fault, but all these years we've always thought of you as family. When you have time in the future, you should still come visit me and your Uncle Xiao." Looking at Xiaolu's mother, I was filled with mixed emotions. When I was little, I was often home alone, and they would call me over to their house for meals. They knew all about the breakfast and umbrella Xiaolu had brought me. And later on, as I was growing up, whenever I encountered any difficulties or troubles, their family would always help me find a solution. Perhaps in their eyes, I had long been a member of their family. During dinner, Xiaolu sat to my left and Lin Shu sat to my right. Xiaolu picked up a piece of sweet and sour fish for me. "Yin, this is still your favorite fish." Lin Shu picked up a piece of pork rib for me. "Your favorite now is pork ribs." I thanked Xiaolu, then picked up the pork rib and put it in my mouth. After the meal, Lin was in the living room chatting with my parents. I went into the kitchen to get some juice, and just as I was about to leave, Xiao Luo walked in. She said nothing, just stood there quietly looking at me. I broke the silence. "Is something wrong?" She didn't speak. I started to walk forward. "If not, I'm leaving." "Yi Jin," she called out to me. When I turned around, she was looking at me apologetically. "I'm sorry about what happened that time." I was taken aback for a moment. "What time?" Xiao Luo said cautiously. "That time I gave the mineral water and towel to Jiang Xian. Oh, I nodded and said nonchalantly. It was so long ago. There's no need to bring it up again. A trace of disappointment flashed in Xiao Luo's eyes. As she continued, Jiang Xian and I were never together. I posted those photos from the trip on my Moments just to make you jealous. Xiao Luo, I cut her off. We've already broken up, and it's been a very, very long time. Who you're with, what you do, it has nothing to do with me anymore. I know. Xiao Luo lowered her head and whispered, I just didn't want you to misunderstand. There's no misunderstanding, I said calmly. You and Jiang Xian are a good match, aren't you? Xiao Luo's body trembled violently. She looked up at me, her eyes shimmering with a pleading look. Can we really not go back? We have been broken up for over half a year, and now she was asking me if we could go back. I shook my head, my tone firm. Xiao Luo, it's impossible for us. I have Lin Xuan now, and I wish you can meet the right person too. After that, Xiao Luo left my house. I didn't see her again for the rest of the holiday. My parents were very pleased with Lin Xuan, and she spent her first spring festival in my home. When I returned to school, I threw myself completely into preparing for my exams. To make studying more convenient, I moved back into the school dormitory. Lin was also busy with her certification exams and reviewing. We encouraged each other and made progress together. One night, coming out of the library, I saw Xiao Luo waiting at the entrance. Under the dim yellow streetlights, she looked a bit lonely, and her eyes held a haggard look. When she saw me, a bit of life seemed to return to them. Yi Jin, she walked up to me and handed me the hot milk tea in her hand. Seeing that I didn't take it, she touched it to her cheek to check the temperature and said cautiously, I just bought it. It's still hot. It's cold out. Drink this to warm up. Seeing her now, she looked so much like that rainy day back then when she appeared by my side holding an umbrella. Except all of that was in the past now. Ciao, I thought I made myself very clear. There's no need for you to do things like this anymore, I said calmly without the slightest ripple of emotion. I just wanted to come see you to make up for my mistakes. There's no need. I shook my head, saying flatly, not disturbing my life is the best thing for me. Xiao Luo's hand holding the milk tea trembled constantly, her gaze looking shattered. How can you be so heartless? Our decade-long relationship. Is this how it ends? Her tone was almost begging, one hand already gripping my wrist. I immediately shook it off and said, there was a time I wanted to cherish this relationship, willing to constantly be the one to back down and compromise, but you only got worse. You told me not to regret it. After I left you, I have never regretted it for a single second. I finished speaking word by word, then turned and left without looking back. Perhaps because the night was too quiet, I heard uncontrollable sobs coming from behind me. I had accidentally heard from someone that she and Jiang Xian had a falling out, but that had nothing to do with me anymore. For a long time after that, Xiaolu didn't appear to bother me again. But occasionally I would notice her standing not far from me, just watching me quietly, maybe in the library, maybe in the cafeteria, or maybe in a campus hallway. But since she didn't disturb me, I couldn't be bothered with her, focusing only on doing my own things well. Fortunately, my hard work paid off. I successfully got into the university I wanted. Linsha hugged me and said, I knew you could do it. Linsha decided that she would also work hard and follow in my footsteps. That day, I took Linsha to an amusement park, to the movies, and we ate a lot of food. When we returned to the apartment building downstairs that evening, we saw Xiaolu standing there dejectedly. Lin Shu nervously tightened her grip on my hand. I gently patted her hand and said softly, It's okay. You go on upstairs first. She glanced at Xiaolu, then looked at me and nodded obediently, agreeing, Okay, I'll go back and wait for you. With that, she took the fruit from my hand and walked into the building, looking back every few steps. Watching her back disappear, I came to stand before Xiaolu. Having not seen her for many days, she seemed to have become much more haggard. Her eyes, which never had dark circles before, were now rimmed with black. I hope this is the last time we meet. A flash of hurt crossed Xiaolu's eyes. Then she smiled bitterly. Do you hate me this much now? I didn't speak, just looked at her quietly. I suppose so. It was only later that I realized how much I must have hurt you back then. She laughed self-deprecatingly and continued, as if to herself. It wasn't until Jiang Shuren had countless ambiguous relationships with other girls that I understood how hurtful my own actions were. I don't want to hear this, I said, my tone cold. She bit her lip and said with a sense of grievance, back then, I also imagined us holding hands until we grew old together. If you're willing to give me one more chance, I will definitely spend my entire life making it up to you. I'm not willing. Before she could finish, I cut her off. Xiaolu, no matter how many times you ask, my answer will be the same. Why? Why would you even give me one chance? She lost control of her emotions and broke down, crying hysterically. I watched her calmly and said, I did give you chances more than once. Ever since Jiang Shun entered our lives, how many times did I say something? Did you ever listen? But she wanted to explain, and the words wouldn't come out. Actually, from the first moment, your heart wavered. I should have chosen to leave. I was too soft-hearted. I sighed and continued. I'm very happy with Lin Xuan now. She is a wonderful girl, and we're getting engaged soon. Xiaolu's body trembled, her eyes widening in disbelief as she stared at me. So, please don't disturb our lives anymore. Live your own life. Well, okay. She was crying uncontrollably, a pitiful sight. But right now, I didn't feel a shred of pity. Thank you for taking care of me since we were children. Those are all precious and beautiful memories to me. But we are no longer on the same path. I glanced down at my watch and said, I have to go back. Lin is still waiting for me. She hardly called out to me, choking back tears. Actually, I knew I wouldn't get your forgiveness. I came this time to tell you that I'm thinking of going back to our hometown. I won't be coming back. I nodded slightly, my tone softening a little. Your mother isn't in good health. It's good for you to go back and take care of her. Eugene, I'm sorry. Xiaolu looked at me, her face streaked with tears, her eyes still filled with reluctance and unwillingness to let go. I looked at her for a long time, not knowing what to say. Finally, I uttered a single word. Leaving. With that, I turned and walked away, making a clean break with the past. Affection that comes too late is meaningless. When I opened the door to my home, Lin was looking at me with red-rimmed eyes. She then threw herself into my arms. I thought. I stroked her head and said softly, Silly, who didn't think I wasn't coming back, did you? She didn't speak, just gently thumped my chest. I know you're at home waiting for me, so no matter what, I will always come back. Looking at the reflection of our embrace in the window, I said with a sense of contentment, cherishing the person in front of you is the secret to happiness.